This is Poké Collab, where we collect, train, and battle together. My name is Orin. I'm from Block and Pixel, and I'm
And I am Ivan, and I'm from CHARRD.
sorry I cut you off there, Ivan. I was
No.
trying to make a seamless transition into introducing you. But yeah, so we're gonna have some fun today. We got a lot to cover. We're gonna talk about some events that are happening in Pokemon this week, and one of them is a set release. Next, we're going to talk about that set in depth, how it might change the meta. Then we're going to talk about collecting master sets and the variations of master sets there are, and what type you might want to collect. And that's pretty much going to be the majority of our discussions today. So we'll get started right away. First of all, we want to cover some events that are going on this week. First, here as usual, I'll share my screen so you have some visuals to go along with what we're talking about here. So this week we have a regional championship taking place in Baltimore. It's from September 13th through 15th, and that is taking place there in Maryland. So pretty exciting that the 2025 season of Play Pokemon has started. I think this is the first regional championship for the season. We just had Worlds, and now we're getting right back into it. So it's awesome that there's no delay pretty much between the World Championships and getting right back into it.
Yeah, I find that pretty interesting. And then it's cool because it's like not like any other sport that there's seasons. It's just like a continuous like all year round. Like just continue. One's ended, now it's on to the next.
Yeah, I love that. Usually with sports, you have this break period where you have to wait, but unlike sports, this isn't a physical activity, so there's no need for the break in between for the athletes. So it's just going right back into the new season. So that's really exciting. So to anyone who's going to be competing in that regional championship, we hope that the flips, shuffles, and draws are in your favor, and we look forward to seeing who comes out as champion of this regional. Okay, so
Absolutely.
that's exciting. Next up, if you enjoy our show, if you enjoy hearing from me and Ivan on a weekly basis, we would love your support by asking you to like our videos and to subscribe. We really appreciate it, and that'll just help get us out there to more viewers. So we would love it if you could take the time to just like this video and subscribe, and we will be here each and every week talking about Pokemon. And this will always be a family-friendly show. You'll never hear us use vulgarities or words you wouldn't want your kids to hear. So keep that in mind too, that this is good for the whole family. Okay, next up, I just wanted to let everyone know, and I'll share my screen one more time here. I want to let everyone know that we are on the cusp of the Surging Sparks release. And with every new set release, there is a Pokemon Center ETB. So this is a Elite Trainer box that has a special Pokemon Center stamp. They started doing this, I believe, with Chilling Reign in the Sword and Shield era. So any Elite Trainer boxes before that, there wasn't a Pokemon Center variation, but ever since there has been. And the difference is you get more packs. So in the Elite Trainer box from the Pokemon Center, you get 11 packs instead of, I think, 9 in the standard. Additionally, you get that stamped box, so it shows the Pokemon Center label on there, which a lot of collectors are looking for. And then finally, if I can get a picture of it, the promos that come in the Elite Trainer box from the Pokemon Center have a special Pokemon Center stamp, which usually command a much higher price tag than the non-Pokemon Center ETB promos. So that might be another reason why you would be interested in getting a ETB from the Pokemon Center. So I just want to let everyone know this pre-order for the Surging Sparks ETB is still available, which is pretty surprising to me. So you might want to get your hands on that by pre-ordering today if you're watching this video when we record. And unlike Ivan did last week, I forgot to mention the date. Today is September 11th. Wednesday. We're recording on the 11th of September, just so you know, to make sure that you have a timestamp of when this video is recorded. Okay, well, we're moving right along here today. Next up, we want to discuss our next set release. So that's the other event that's taking place today, and I'm going to let Ivan lead that conversation.
Yeah, it's thanks, Orin. It's been, some of these releases have been not catching my eye lately, but this one is specifically, I think I kind of want to get into, just because a lot of the Pokemon that I know of, like that are in Pokemon Unite, the video game, are going to be in this set. So I think it's just one thing that it's gonna like possibly get into. I'll be possibly getting some cards and get in this one. Um, and also too how the tarot cards are looking pretty cool. And just to give you guys some review, there's gonna be four new ones. And so we have Terrapagos EX, Lapras EX, Galvantula, and then Cinderace, which I think is gonna be probably my favorite. Um, I don't know. Do you want me to share my screen there, Orin? Would you want to do
Uh,
that, or you just want
yeah, I'm getting it pulled up. Here, let me share my screen. I'm trying to
to?
find all of them in English. I found Lapras here. Is there any
Yeah.
specific order you wanted to discuss?
No, no, not at all.
Okay.
So this I think is going to be a great card. Only, and I learned too that a lot of these, not a lot, but the majority of them are taking. I think they want us to have kind of different Pokemon energy in the decks. I feel like because you're going to need this one, especially three different types of energies. You're going to need water, psychic, and metal.
Wow.
Well, I feel like it's going to be a little bit of interesting ways of how these battle decks are going to be built. I think that's going to be an interesting thing. I think it's also going to be incorporating a lot more of different Pokemons from like the previous sets, like 151 and Paldean Evolve. It's going to be nice because you're going to have a little bit of an influx of different Pokemon from all over the sets from one Scarlet Violet and 151. So I think it's going to be pretty cool. I think that's one thing I'm going to be looking forward to is trying to get a deck that's going to be being able to encompass maybe two to three different kinds of Pokemon.
Yeah, very cool. Yeah, I mean, it's not usual that you see a Lapras card getting into a meta deck. So it's pretty cool that we were seeing like a wide variety of the generations of Pokemon together in one set.
Yeah,
But that
exactly.
I didn't even realize this was metal. It looked like my brain was seeing colorless. So yeah, it's going to be a challenging deck to build out though with water, psychic, and metal. I
And
mean
metal, yeah.
that I don't want to call it an attack, but I guess that's what you would call it here. This attack, it doesn't do any damage, but what it does is pretty amazing in terms of how it can equip everyone on
Yeah.
your bench with energy. The top 20 cards, I can't say I've seen anything like you look at the top 20 cards.
No, I believe there's n nothing. I don't think there is one. It's usually look at your top seven, um, or just top two, top four, top five. But yeah, top 20. That's 20% of your. Oh, what is that? Yeah, 20% of your day. I don't
No,
know.
a third,
That's like
33%.
33. Wow, that's crazy.
Yeah. And so then the attack that Lapras has, it does 40 damage for each energy attached to this Pokemon. So that Larimer Rain,
Yeah,
you can get as many energy as you can or want to, and then attach them to any of your Pokemon the way you want to. And so you could attach a lot of energy to Lapras, and then you do 40 damage for each energy attached to it. The problem is that takes two turns. One turn to get all the energy, second turn to do all the damage.
yeah,
So it'll be interesting to see how people build that out to be able to get that damage done.
yeah, for sure, for sure.
Okay, let's look at Galvantula.
Yeah, whatever is your next one. So what's pretty cool about this one is I mean I don't really know too much about Gavantula, but I know that he's just like, a regular Pokemon, I would say. I mean Lapras, Lapras he's got some kind of significant, but Galvantula it's kind of, I don't know, it's just kind of a cool thing that he's coming into the mix. So, again, charged web with electric energy and a colorless with 110. And then I love the EXV if your opponent has one or if you're fighting. I mean, almost everyone will have an EX or V Pokemon when you're battling them. So this would do some major damage. And they are about 220 to 3 something. So you can do some massive damage with just two energy again. So I think it's pretty cool. And then there again, different energies here. So Leaf, electric, and fighting to do 180 damage, but you discard all this energy. So it's kind of you do a lot of damage, but the price of losing all the energy is pretty tough.
Yeah, that's rough. You're gonna need a lot of supporters and items to get energy back onto this card if you're gonna use that uh Fulgurite move. Losing all of your energy, I haven't I don't usually play decks where I lose energy. That is nice that during your opponent's next turn, they're not able to play any item cards from their hand. So that's
Yeah.
helpful, but then you still need to take a turn to get energy back onto this Pokemon to do that attack once again. So again, yeah, you're going to need a lot of supporter Pokemon that somehow can move energy around or get energy attached. But yeah, that move Charge Web with just two energy, that's a pretty good move. I do like that it scales based on the type of Pokemon that you're up against.
Yeah. And two for 260 with eight hit points. I mean, that's pretty good as
And
well.
for especially just for a stage one.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, no rare candies needed here. Just
Nope.
evolve from Joltik and you got your Galvantula.
Yeah.
Okay, let's
Okay, I think
see.
the next one there, or if I think it's
Yeah,
what do
let's
you
see
got?
if I can find
Cinder,
Cinderace.
Cinderace, yeah.
Well, actually, here's
And
Terapagos.
Terrapagos, okay.
Yeah, I'll find Cinderace after this one.
Sounds good. So I didn't really the only one I didn't really read this one, but this is just straight up a basic Pokemon. So that's pretty cool. You can get four of these guys, build a deck around that, and Unify Beatdown 30 times for each. Oh yes, I did read this. I'm sorry. So, a lot of the times when you can I don't know about you, Warren, but when I'm on TCG live or I'm playing against somebody, I prefer to go second. I don't like to go first. And I think it's the fact that you can only attack, you can't attack. But
I think
on this, go ahead.
I think it depends on the deck. Like for the current deck that I'm playing with, I actually like going first because I
Mm.
typically, even if I go second, I'm usually not going to be able to get the energy I need attached to do any damage. I need that extra time to get prepped. So I usually take the opportunity to go first if I can.
Okay.
Yeah.
So this one, I mean, you have to have both energy, and of course, you have the two double colorless energy that you can use if you so draw that on your first hand. But you can't use this attack during your first turn going second. So you have to go first, right? You can't
Well,
use the attack
no,
during.
you because I think
Oh,
what
okay,
it's saying is no matter what, because you if you go first, you can't attack. But
right.
if you go second, you can attack. I think what this is saying is even if you go second, you're still not allowed to attack.
Okay, I see. Okay,
Yeah.
which is that's kind of tough.
Yeah, that's things. I mean, it's a great basic Pokemon,
Mm.
but you're not going to be able to do a lot of you're not going to be able to do damage right out of the gate
Yeah.
because of that stipulation.
And I guess like it goes back to what you were saying about you prefer to go first because you get to energize or you get to power up your Pokemon. Like this, you can't do anything anyway because it's two energies.
Yeah. So with this
But
deck, you probably want to go first
yeah,
because
correct.
that then you get the opportunity to load up some energies on your Terapagos. And then since you can't attack going second anyway, you have to wait until the
Yeah,
third turn to actually attack with this thing.
yeah. And
And
then
yeah, so this
yeah,
might be one of those decks where you want to go first.
yeah. And it does an additional 30 damage to each. to each of your benched Pokemon.
Oh,
Oh wow.
no, four each.
Oh, 40. Oh, okay. I'm sorry. I
Yeah.
was gonna say,
So
yeah, yeah,
if you have three
yeah.
Pokemon on your bench, it does
90.
90 additional damage.
Okay, got it.
No, wait, I'm sorry. 90 total damage. This attack does 30 damage for each of your bench Pokemon. So if you have zero bench Pokemon, it does zero damage.
Does 0 damage.
Yeah, interesting. So yeah, you need to have bench Pokemon to even use that attack, and you want as many bench Pokemon as possible, which leads into a stadium card that
Yeah.
is coming into the meta. Let me find it.
Yeah.
Um,
You talking about I think it was yeah, look at some there.
there's a stadium card released in Stellar Crown that allows you to have up to eight Pokemon on the bench. And I don't remember the name of that stadium card. It,
Area zero underpath.
oh, you
Right
found it?
there.
Nice.
Yep, right
Okay.
there. Yep.
Cool.
Yeah, that this is crazy.
Okay. Go ahead and read it.
Oh, I love it. If a player has a Terra Pokemon in play, that player can have 8 Pokemon on their bench. When this card leaves play or that player no longer has a Terra Pokemon in play, that player discards bench Pokemon until they have 5 Pokemon on the bench. If both players discard, the owner of this card discards first.
Okay.
Wow.
So let's say you have Trapagos as your main Pokemon. You can have four of these in your deck. And let's say you have Area Zero under depths in play, and you get eight Pokemon on your bench, which is going to be your goal with this deck. Eight times 30, that's 240 damage with two energy.
Wow.
Assuming you can get set up for that. So hopefully there's other trainers that you're going to be able to utilize to get all of those Pokemon on your bench fast.
That's crazy.
Yeah, so this sounds like a fun deck to play. It sounds like it's going to be hectic. Lots of Pokemon flying around. I wonder what other Pokemon you'd play with the Trapagos since you're limited to four.
That's another, yeah. And of course, like again, going with the types of Pokemon, like his other move is 3 types of Pokemon again, types
Yeah.
of energy again. So leaf, water, and electric. And then you get to prevent damage done to this Pokemon by attacks from basic non-colorless Pokemon.
Okay.
So if
So like if
so if he
Charmander was in front of you, that Charmander couldn't do any damage to
can
you.
do any damage,
Yeah.
which is pretty cool. But to have three, that's another thing. It's taking a lot, but they're doing a lot of good
Yeah.
for the three
Yeah,
energy.
this is bizarre. I've never used a deck where I had three different types of energy in it.
Yeah,
Okay. Very wild.
interesting.
Well, let's
Yeah,
find our Cinderace so we can go over that.
yeah. I think he's more up the top.
Okay. You know what energy type?
Fire.
Okay, yeah, that'll be at the top. There we go.
So Cinderace, he's been around. He was in the in one of the Sword and Shield, I believe, meta, but now he's in this one. Um, and I think I think it's a ridiculous card. Like he's got 320 HP right off the bat. Of course, he has stage two, so you can do a stage candy, rare candy. But Flare Strike 280. I mean, it takes a lot of energy. Um, I mean, 6 energy because you need quite a bit. I mean, you need oh you can still do Flare Strike. Having a fighting and dark energy. Um, but then you can't use Flare Strike. But the the thing about also with I found out with when it says Pokemon can't use Flare Strike, the trick to that is to retreat them to the bench and then activate them again, and then they can use it.
Okay.
I found that out using Palafin and his big move that he has. And I actually read something about it that like yeah, when you retreat where you retreat a Pokemon and then you go back. Well, of course, you don't want to use the energy. You got to use a switch or um, what's the one with that? But yeah, a switch or a switch cart.
Yeah.
And then the other one is the sound. Oh my goodness, I have the picture of it in my head. I just can't name it. The name
Counter catcher?
counter catcher. Yes.
Does counter catcher?
So
Well, I thought counter catcher is more like boss's orders. There's another one that switches out both your opponent's Pokemon and your Pokemon, but I forget what that's called. That's not
yeah,
counter catcher.
there's one I think also can flip a coin, and if it's heads, I think you switch out your opponent, and if it's tails, you switch out yours. Something
Okay.
like that. Yeah.
But look at the retreat cost on this guy.
Zero. So there you go.
Yeah.
The caller. So I think I mean, that might be the gist, of getting him back in, getting him back out, getting him back, and then again using the flare strike. So I think
Yeah.
that's gonna be a good strategy to use.
So I
And then of
wonder
course,
with that retreat cost, I see that the Garnet Volley, it can do 180 damage to one of your opponent's Pokemon. It could be a bench Pokemon, it could be their active. It requires fire, fighting, and dark. But you wouldn't even really need to use that. You could have Cinderace in a fire deck and just use Flare Strike and do that trick of retreating to the bench, putting him back out. You wouldn't even need fighting and dark to utilize Cinderace.
yeah. Or that could also be like if you're fighting against maybe like another Charizard, an EX Charizard, and he's 330. So if you don't have, well, no, yeah, it'll be only 280. But you can take out if you're fighting a bigger Pokemon, then you can take out the bench. I think that's probably what they're trying to also like, well, you can have him in there and it's still, take out the bench. But that is true. I mean, I think that's by yeah, you would just use Flash Strike for the majority of your turns.
Yeah, yeah,
One,
for sure.
and one thing I want to bring out, Orin, too, is at the top. You see at the top where it says evolves from reboot.
Yeah.
So that little box there, all of them have this. I just noticed. As long as this Pokemon is on your bench, prevent all damage done to this Pokemon by attacks, both yours and your opponent. So all the new Terra cards have that.
Wait,
They
hold
all
on.
have that little box.
Let me read that. What as long as this Pokemon is on your bench, prevent all damage done to this. Oh, wow. So like let's say a Cinderace deck was going against a Cinderace deck and you have Cinderace on your bench and they have Cinderace as their active and they do Garnet Volley, they can't use that against your Cinderace.
Correct.
Okay. That's
That's pretty
awesome.
cool. Yeah. And I believe when we were looking at the other ones, I think Cinderace
There's
is the only one that does damage to the bench.
yeah.
All the other ones do.
Well, no, Terapagos, this
Oh, yeah, there
attack
you
does
go.
30 damage for each. No, I'm sorry, that's for each. Okay, yeah,
Forage.
you're correct. You're correct. Yeah. Yeah, he's the
Which is
only
pretty
one
cool.
that of those four that does damage to bench Pokemon. Now I do want to tell you about one Pokemon that so I use Monkey Dory in my deck, and Monkey Dory has an ability that lets you take damage counters off of your Pokemon and puts them onto your opponent's Pokemon. Since that's an ability, it's not an attack, and I could put counter damage onto a Cinderace that's
Oh,
benched.
wow.
Yeah, because it's not an attack. So
Correct.
it's you're able to get past that rule with stuff like Monkey Dory, which is really handy.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah.
I think probably the one key is to have an ability that can move around that. I think is it Kadabra that does also you can move up to 20
Yep.
around.
Yeah. Yeah, Kadabra's ability isn't nearly as good as Monkey Dory's because Kadabra, I'm sorry, it's Alakazam.
Alex,
Alakazam,
I'm sorry,
yeah.
Alakazam. Yes, I'm sorry.
So Alakazam's ability lets you move 20 damage from one of your opponent's Pokemon to another one of your opponent's Pokemon. So you're just moving damage around.
True.
With Monkey Dory, you're actually healing your Pokemon and putting that damage onto your opponent's Pokemon up to
That's right.
30. So Monkey Dory and is also a basic. So like um it's a really handy card to have. Because I I'm using a Blissey deck, and Monkey Dory is my supporter Pokemon, and it's a lot of fun to throw damage around and take it off of my Blissey.
Nice.
Okay. Now, were there any other trainers that caught your eye?
Yeah, what I haven't read them. I just saw them. I saw how there's bringing back fossils. So right there, ancient cover fossil and antique root fossil right there next to Terrapagos horn, the next row up.
Oh, right here. Okay. So these are new
These
fossils, similar to what we saw in 151.
yeah, yep. And this
Okay.
one I don't really I can't make out the Pokemon there or oh there it is. Tortuga.
Yeah, Tortuga?
I want
Tortuga?
to say Tortuga, but it's spelled not like the Spanish way, but
Okay.
it is. I think it is Tortuga. I think you're
Okay.
right. Yeah. So it's saying the Spanish turtle and phonetically.
So let's see. Okay, we need to look at Tortuga then and see if it's even
Yeah,
worth
that'd be cool.
playing because like fossils are basically basic Pokemon that can't do anything. And the only reason you would ever use that is to evolve it into Tortuga.
Yeah,
And then the other one is it evolves into Lileep.
Lily.
So the question is, are Lileep and Tortuga worth using? Let me find them really quick. I'm assuming Tortuga is water.
Yeah.
There it is. Okay. So Tortuga is a stage one, and then there's a stage two, Caracosta.
Oh yeah.
So here's Tortuga, stage one, 100 hit points, splashing turn, switch this Pokemon with one of your bench Pokemon.
Hmm.
Okay, and then let's look at stage two. Here's where the question is this worth it?
Worth it. Yeah. 'Cause that's three. That's pretty much three.
Yeah. That I mean, this is as much work as getting to your Charizard EX, you know.
Yeah. Right.
Okay, your Pokemon's attacks do 30 more damage to your opponent's active evolution Pokemon. Okay. So we're talking 180 damage to anything that's not a basic uh,
Hmm.
for two water energy. But he only has 160 hit points.
Yeah. That's. I don't think it's worth it.
Yeah, I don't think we're going to be seeing this in play in the meta.
Yeah, I don't. That's just too much work, and yeah, for not enough hit points, and yeah, 180, but the hit points is where it gets me.
Right, exactly. You're going to be knocked out next turn pretty much every time.
Every yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
Every
so
yeah.
I don't see this ancient cover fossil being used in the meta. So let's look at antique root fossil. It evolves from Lileep.
Lily.
See if we can find Lileep.
He looks like metal,
Okay.
maybe. Um,
Leap.
nope. Lily,
Colorless, maybe?
colorless.
Wooloo, Dubwool. Where's Lileep? Hold on. I'll
Oh,
just search for it. Lileep. Oh, there it is. Grass.
grass. Wow, I didn't even think of that.
Okay,
Well,
so
lily. Oh my goodness.
okay, so let me go back to grass because I want to see if there's a stage two.
Yeah, be good there too. I'll follow your lead, Orin.
Okay. This filter is messing me up now.
Okay,
There we
Lily.
go.
He
Okay.
does.
Grass. We've got Lileep and then Credilli.
Credily.
So let's look at these two guys. Lileep. Lileep is a stage one, 100 hit points. With one energy, bind down during your opponent's next turn. The defending Pokemon can't retreat. And then stage two, Credilli, 150 hit points.
150. Wow.
Man. Marshy wins, only takes one energy. It does 100 damage for each special condition affecting your opponent's active Pokemon. And then
Okay.
you have the ability, once during your turn, you may flip a coin of heads, choose burned, confused, or poisoned. Your opponent's active Pokemon is now affected by that special condition. Okay, so
That
first of all, Marshy wins does 0 if your opponent has it doesn't have a special condition. So you I don't like this card. You get to use that ability every turn. Let's say you flip tails and your opponent doesn't have any special conditions, then you can't attack. It's going to do 0 damage. Um, and then even if they do have a special condition, you're only doing 100 damage. And it took
right.
you 2 stages to get here from a
Yeah,
fossil.
that's I just don't find that I thought this would be a little better than Tortuga, but this is actually it's yeah, it's kind of worse because if it wasn't you flip a coin, then oh man. But I think you could use you could possibly have was it Bonnet
Yeah.
and then you can then poison both. But I mean that's a risk that you're also taking because you have 150 horsepower. You have 150 hit points. 150 hit points to take it out, but I mean that's the only way I think you could do it is by poisoning both of them with his name is Bonnet, right? Barnet?
I think it's is it Banet? Banet?
Bannet. I think you're right. But so like you use that ability and then there you go. But still, that's ooh,
Yeah, I like just like Tortuga. I don't see this fossil being used in the meta either.
yeah,
This antique root fossil.
yeah.
So I mean, I'm pretty confident we can count those out.
In reality, like the only other fossil, I mean, it was good for I've seen them they use the fossil that's out now with Lumion,
Luminion?
Luminion.
Yeah.
That's the only thing I see them use it for. And they're not even using Luminion. They're only using it for his ability.
Right.
So yeah, I don't know. I really don't see that getting anywhere.
Well, let's take a look at
Um,
these 3 new Ace
yeah.
specs. Deluxe Bomb.
So if the Pokemon this card is attached to is in the active spot and takes damage from an opponent's Pokemon attack, put 12 damage counters on the attacking Pokemon. If you put any damage counters this way, discard this card. The Pokemon on this card is your
Okay. That makes sense. So it's an attachable tool. So you attach it, it stays in play until it's used. So let's say your opponent doesn't attack you, it stays on until they do, which is nice. Um, so basically it's a counter attack. So if you attack me with um, your Charizard's gonna get dealt 120 damage for hitting me.
yeah.
Um, it's kind of nice.
That's not bad because then there's a lot of cards that a lot of Pokemon that do like if your opponent has already damage, then it does more.
Yeah.
So that might be an excellent one to use for the ones that for the Pokemon that do have um those attacks. Also, too, like these are the ones that caught my eye, but like, and I'm pretty sure like if we go through all the cards, which we probably won't have time to, but we'll see which ones could actually, benefit from this meta,
Yeah, what's really cool about this card, Ivan, I'm thinking about it. This is if you have this equipped, let's say you have a Charizard deck and you're coming against me,
Mhm.
and your Charizard has 330 hit points, and you already have, let's say, 250 damage on your Charizard. You might think twice about attacking. This might prevent your opponent from doing damage to your active Pokemon.
Yeah,
So that could be handy in that way to make your opponent second guess whether or not they should knock out your active Pokemon.
yeah, and also too, like the way you're playing, like how you want to just reset the board because you can literally do that,
Yeah,
like
so
just have
cool.
that's pretty interesting.
Cool Ace spec. Let's check out Great Tree.
Yeah. So
Okay.
once during each player's turn, that player may search their deck for a stage one Pokemon that evolves from one of their basic Pokemon and put it onto the Pokemon to evolve it. If that Pokemon is now a stage one Pokemon, they search their deck for a stage two Pokemon that evolves from that Pokemon and put it onto their Pokemon to evolve it. Then that player shuffles their deck. You can't use this effect on a basic Pokemon on your first turn on a basic Pokemon that was put into play this turn. So that almost makes me think that you would want this with Tortuga or something that you're gonna evolve.
Cinderace,
Cinderace. Yep.
Charizard.
Yep.
Yeah.
Charizard. So it kind of gets away from using the rare candies.
Right.
But I just feel like it's taken from stage one to stage two is just a lot of work. And it's just a lot of I mean with this is it's great. But you can only do one because you can only use it once. But since it's a stadium.
Yeah. So it's
Whoa.
basically infinite rare candies, but
Infinite. Yeah,
it applies to your opponent too.
correct.
So it's a really cool stadium, really cool ace spec. It being an ace spec, you're only gonna be able to have one in your deck.
Yeah.
Um, do you know of any tool cards that get stadiums into your hand fast? Or any supporters that get stadiums into your hand fast?
I don't, but I know Pokemon that do.
Oh,
I
okay.
know Palkia does.
Okay.
Palkia does, and I think there's one more that you can look for a stadium. I can't remember
Okay.
who. I believe it might be only Palkia. And
Because
I only
like
know that because I have him. Yeah.
if you're gonna have an ace spec stadium card, you're gonna want to get it out fast.
Yeah.
Otherwise, you're gonna be hoping for it all match.
Yeah.
Um, and I'm just not aware of quick ways to get a stadium card into your hand.
I think there is one I believe she's in the last set
Okay.
that you can either pull a supporter, a tool, or a stadium. And I gotta think of where she is. I believe it's a girl, but I can't remember her name.
Okay. If you find it, let us know.
Yeah.
Okay, let's check out our third one here. Sparkling Crystal. The attack cost of the Terra Pokemon this card is attached to is reduced by one of any type of energy. Okay. But again, like this is an ace spec. You can only have one in your deck. So you can't rely on this card.
No.
So like all of the Terra Pokemon in Stellar Crown require three types of energy. So like even if you have this ace spec in your car in your deck, it's not going to make it so that you aren't going to have all three types
Oh yeah.
because like you can't rely on getting this card.
Eh, I mean, even if you did search for it, yeah, you can only do it once. Like that's it.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I
Okay.
mean, it's a nice trainer, it's a nice tool, but still since it's an ace spec, you're so limited. Like if this were a normal tool, not an ace spec, then you may be able to utilize this in your deck and build out a, a Stellar Crown Terra deck utilizing this instead of three types of energy. But as an ace spec, it's okay.
What I also want to know, yeah, what was the gist of that? Like I always wondered, like, what is their what is
Yeah.
their mentality and when they make these?
Yeah. So I'm sure it's designed to help with the new Stellar Crown Terra Pokemon. But again, being limited to only having one of these in your deck, it's just not that helpful.
That yeah, no.
Okay.
The last one that I want to bring out is the glass trumpet.
Okay. Yeah, let's look at it.
I'm actually on TCG Live because that's the easiest way to look up the card. So I'm gonna see if I can find it really quick.
Oh, they're on TCG Live?
Well, no, that it's not in this. What I meant was that the card I'm talking about is not in this meta, or maybe it is, but I haven't seen it. What I'm saying is that there is a trainer that's
Oh,
already
you're
out that
yeah,
you can search for um
stadiums.
item tool
Yeah.
support. Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, this was pretty cool. It says you can only play this card if you have a Terra Pokemon in play. So choose up to two of your benched colorless Pokemon and attach a basic energy from your discard pile to each of them. Which I mean, it's pretty good. I like it only because um you get to then attach energy. But again, you have to have a Terra Pokemon in play, and I think this is why um with this meta, it's meant to have Terra card like Terra
Yeah,
Pokemon. Like
definitely.
that's what I'm thinking. Yeah,
Now, real quick, in play, does that mean active or benched?
I believe that means yeah, active or bench. I think it
Okay.
would if it was supposed to be if it's meant to be active, it would say active
Yeah,
Pokemon.
I agree. So yeah, so you could have Tropicos active or bench and still be able
Yeah,
to utilize this trainer.
correct.
Okay,
Yeah.
cool. No, that's it's a great way to get energy out of your discard pile.
Yeah.
Um,
And I
and
think
and
that's how yeah.
and straight to your bench without having to take them out of your hands. So it's like a it's an accelerated way to get energy to your bench. And if you have a bench of eight Terapagos, or I'm sorry, eight Galvantula, um, then you're gonna need ways of getting energy to them fast. So this might be it.
Yeah.
Utilize
But
the
I think
glass trumpet with the Galvantula in that stadium.
and that also means that's what it means, right? Colorless Pokemon though. That's the one bad. I think that's the one
Choose
drawback.
choose up to two of your bench colorless Pokemon. So again, like let's look. So Terapagos is colorless.
Oh, okay. Yeah, right.
Um, is uh hold on. I can't remember. Is
Is
Galvantula, is he
he's
no,
electric.
he's lightning.
Like
I was wondering if since he's Terra, if he's a Terra colorless somehow.
yeah.
Um, but no, he's lightning. So that won't really work for Galvantula, seeing as it's to your colorless. So this is definitely designed for Terapagos specifically.
Yeah, I agree.
Okay, cool.
Yeah. But I'm interested to see, as we dig deeper, we get closer to it, how who's gonna come out with the great a powerful deck. And I think also too when it comes to Worlds next year, and which of these Pokemon is gonna come up on top.
Yeah, Stellar Crown's a really cool set. I'm looking forward to it going live on TCG Live. I believe this Friday it'll
Yeah.
be playable. I always look forward
Actually,
to the ladder reset.
yeah, yeah, yeah. It was already updated, but I think you're right, Orin. I think it is to tomorrow
Okay,
or yeah, or
or
Friday.
maybe midnight Thursday night, whatever midnight Friday is. Yeah, for
Yep.
you. Um, but it'll be this week on TCG Live, so we'll get to play through those. And I just was clicking through all the pages so you could see all the tarot cards as we were wrapping up this discussion.
Yeah.
Do you think you'll be buying any physical?
Well, I don't know yet.
Yeah. Yeah, same here. I don't think I will be. It's not in our budget currently
Right.
to really put anything into this set. Maybe singles if we want to make a physical meta deck, but we probably won't be buying any packs or ETBs. If I had thought about it, I probably would have pre-ordered the Pokemon Center ETB. I think I want to start doing that. Pre-ordering the Pokemon Center ETBs just to start collecting those. And I don't think I'm gonna open them. I think I'm just gonna leave
Okay.
them sealed and start collecting those. Not even for flipping, but just to have, on the shelf behind me or something, maybe over
Yeah,
here. We'll see.
that'd be good. Display them.
Yeah. Okay.
We'll
Well,
see.
go ahead.
I think we'll see. I mean, yeah. If anything, it'll probably be a Cinderace to add to a fire deck that I have already. So
So, I've been seeing some decks where they have Charizard and Arcanine matched up, Arcanine being a stage one. Um, do you ever, I don't think I'd ever see a deck where you see two stage two Pokemon. Like, would you have Cinderace next to Charizard or would it replace?
yeah, I would definitely replace Arcanine. I actually replaced Arcanine with Armorage because Amirage is only 2 energy, and you can just keep just adding energy to Amirage.
Yeah.
So I did have Arcanine for a while. He was a great. He does amazing damage.
Yeah.
250. But you got to discard. You got to keep discarding your energy. So, but if the trick to that is to have the Charizard from Pokemon Go. It's the where he has the ability where it take each energy counts as 2 energy.
Yeah.
So, and I believe we found that out when we first started getting into TCG, and you had one of the fire Pokemon, and you're like, wait a minute, how did I just do that much damage? Because you had already that Charizard
Yeah.
and his ability, that ability, you need that ability. So that's how I play. I have that ability. I get that Charizard first, and then I get the Terra Charizard EX, because then in Infernal Frame and Rain, it's just an awesome ability to get 3 energy right off the bat.
Oh yeah. No, that
So
ability is sick.
it's sick, yeah. So we combine those two, like Arcanine is unstoppable because you can literally you can just only discard one and you're okay. You can just
Yeah.
keep adding four at all times.
And that Charizard ability, it's so nice because you're not putting 3 energy in your hand, you're putting them directly onto your Pokemon.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. And so there'll be times where it works out where I already have an energy in my hand. So I attach one to Charizard and two to the other, whatever Pokemon, Amarage or Amarouge, and then
I say Rouge. Like
yeah, Amarouge.
yeah. Like
Yeah,
I don't really know what Moulin Rouge is, but like that's what I think of like
Moulin Rouge.
Rouge.
Yeah,
So armor, I don't know, that's how I say it.
yeah, Amarouge. Yeah,
Yeah.
but no, I think I would. Answer your question, Orin. I think I would replace Arcanine if I had a fire deck that had a Arcanine in it. But now the direct question would be more like, would I replace Armarouge with Cinderace? And I don't know. That's a lot because, well, Infernal Rain, you can already automatically just get 3 fire off the bat and just wail with Cinderace. So I think that might be a
Yeah.
good. Actually, I would.
I just
Now that
feel
I think
like
about
if you have Cinderace and Charizard, then your focus is on two heavy hitters.
it. Yeah.
And that's really hard to determine, like, who am I going to use my rare candies on? Who am I going to take the time to get up to stage two?
Hmm.
I don't know.
I think having that tree then would uh,
Yeah, yeah, that stadium.
that stadium would then definitely come into play and
Yeah,
help.
true. Alongside rare candies, because you could use that stadium to get your Cinderace and then a rare candy to get your Charizard or two Cinderace or whatever.
Yep.
You definitely want that stadium and rare candy.
Yeah. Yeah. I think that's how I would play it. Definitely.
Yeah. Yeah, no,
I,
I love when new sets come in. I'm not a deck designer. I definitely rely on people that know the game better than I do to create meta decks, and then I pick one and learn how to play it really well. But it's fun to just see how these cards are made to interact with each other.
yeah, absolutely. And you see a lot of that also on TG. I learned a lot from TCG Live, just
Oh
where
yeah.
people have already put up, oh, that's how you use it. Or like, oh, that's a really good setup. I'm like taking notes.
Yeah, TCG
Taking notes
Live.
while I play. Yeah.
And it's just such an amazing tool for free to
For
learn the
free,
game,
yeah.
to learn the meta, to learn how decks interact, to practice, to always have a live human being opponent. Um, and because there's no voice chat, you don't have to deal with what you might be used to with online gaming. It's very Nintendo-esque where you can't really communicate other than some emojis. But that's okay because like you don't really need to talk to have a match in Pokemon. So I love TCG Live.
Yeah. I hope they keep it like that. And I hope that TCG Pocket is like that too. Like I hope they keep it that way. Because I like that better. I mean, I'd rather not.
Yeah. And
Like if
like
I
if I'm
want to
gonna play
go,
you, I'll just call you and we'll talk on the phone while we're playing.
yeah, which we've done before.
Yeah,
Like it's like, yeah, I'd rather do
right.
that.
Exactly. Um Now, this isn't on our outline for this episode, but regarding TCG Pocket, the one thing I'm most worried about is the microtransactions. I was doing a little bit of reading on TCG Pocket, and while I am really excited about TCG Pocket and the fact that uh, supposedly we'll all be able to open a single pack every single day, the fact that they're allowing you to spend money to buy more packs, real money, it could be a very slippery slope. And that slope doesn't exist in TCG Live,
Yeah.
um, which is beautiful. But so the one detractor in TCG Live, your collection of digital cards in TCG Live are worthless. They don't have any value. Because it's easy to get every card. And that's by design. You need every card to build every deck, right? So if you're going to play the meta, you need to have access to everything. And it being free makes it available to everyone to learn the game. TCG Pocket not being designed to primarily be a game, it's more so designed to primarily be a collector app. So yeah, I'm I'm definitely going to have to set a very hard, decisive budget for TCG Pocket before it comes out, so that way I don't overspend on this thing.
Yeah, that's gonna be quite a quite a temptation, I guess you could
Yeah,
say.
that's a great word. So, yeah, we'll see the true pricing of transactions as the month goes on. Hopefully, they'll reveal more info on that.
Yeah.
But talking about collecting, I'd like to get into our final topic here, and that's regarding master sets. There's a lot of discrepancy about what should be included in a master set for each release. And I've seen it a lot in 151 because that's the set I've given a lot of attention to. And I really wanted to just come up with a decisive variety of set collections. So I have this posted on Poké Collab. I called it Variations of Set Collections. And this is going to be our definitive stance on what master sets are. And there are four different types. And each type, it gets significantly more difficult and more costly as you step up through these different variations. So the first variation is the main set. And the main set consists of the main collection. So let's use 151 as our example throughout all of this. So a main set of 151 means that you have all of the cards that are included in the numbers. I wish I had a 151 card in front of me. Do you remember how many uh, cards are in the main set of 151, Ivan?
I think I have one here. Hold on, let me see.
Okay. We can tell who the true Pokemon card person is. He has cards on his desk.
Um, or the Mew or the SV1? Mew or is it
So
Mew, MEW?
yeah, your Mew, what number is it out of how many?
Well, I was gonna say, well, that's what I was gonna ask because I got the SV1 and that one's 198. And the Mew, if I have one here, and the Mew is 165.
Out of
150. Oh, no, there's 165 in the Mew and the 151, right? Oh, come on, work with me. No. But this one is,
So okay, tell me Erica's invitation. What's the
yeah,
number of that card?
160 out of 165.
160 out of 165. Okay. So the main set, what we're calling a main set, would be all of those 165 cards. Their non-hollow variation, their hollow variation, and their reverse hollow variation. So for 151, there's 165 cards in the main set. And then you would have to do the multiplication based on reverse hollows and then add in your hollows in there. So that would be the main set. Everything that's encompassed in that 165 number. Then we have our complete set. And the complete set is everything that is available in booster packs. So we're talking that entire 165 out of 165, non-hollows, hollows, reverse hollows, and then all secret rares on top of that. So anything that is beyond that 165, so like, a 200 out of 165 is a secret rare. So your complete set would be all of the main set plus all of the secret rares. So anything that is obtainable in a booster pack. Now here's where things get tricky, and that's with the master set. And here's where I really want to differentiate and really make this a a hard and stone way of defining a master set. And when I'm talking about a master set, it really needs to include only cards that you can get in retail stores. So here's where my definition, here's where Poké Collab's definition of a master set differentiates from many master sets. A lot of master sets include cards that aren't obtainable at retail outlets by purchase. And that's really not fair to the majority of collectors. There are a lot of cards that exist that are practically impossible to obtain. So to include impossible to obtain cards in a master set isn't fair. So our definition of a master set is going to be that main collection, the 165 out of 165, all the variations of that, all of your secret rares, which are obtainable in booster packs, and then all of your promo cards that you can get from retail outlets. So for 151, we'll talk about the Alakazam EX box, the Zapdos EX box. So the Alakazam EX box came with a Cosmos Hollow Abra, a Cosmos Hollow Kadabra. So those promos would be included in the master set. Your Zapdos EX box came with an Electabuzz Cosmos Hollow, and it came with a special Black Star promo Zapdos. So all of those promos are part of the master set because you could go to a retail store, you could buy a set that includes those promos. So we're not so everyone can be included in collecting master set if you could get to a retail store. So now we need to differentiate what a master set is that does include those impossible to obtain promos. For 151, there's several. So there's what are called these Poké postcards. In Europe, I forget what country specifically, but there was a country in Europe where you had to physically go to a pop-up shop, and you had to send a postcard to a friend, and then the Pokemon Company International would send that promo card with your postcard to your friend. And there were two promos, a Pikachu and an Eevee, that are considered promo cards for 151.
Cool.
So, like we're talking like really, really hard to obtain cards here. You might be able to buy them on eBay or secondhand, but they're going to be very expensive. And I don't know the exact numbers of how many were printed, but it's going to be very few. So additionally, there's what are called professor program cards. Last year, I forget, I think it was the North America International Championships. You had to be, I believe, a league coach or judge, and you had to be at the North America International Championships, and you had to be on staff for those championships. And there were two Voltorb promos. One was a Cosmos Hollow, I'm sorry, it was a reverse Cosmos Hollow and a reverse Hollow Voltorb that had a professor program stamp. And I believe there was like less than 100 printed of each of these or something to that effect. So if any of these cards even ever make it to the secondhand market, they're going to be very expensive. And you can probably conclude that most of the people that were given these cards are probably going to keep them. So to include those in the master set isn't reasonable. Additionally, we have the retail stamped cards like the Charmander in America that had GameStop on it, the Bulbasaur that had the Scarlet Violet 151 stamp on it from Best Buy. There was the EB Games stamped Charmander, I believe, overseas in Europe. And then there was the Squirtle Pokemon Center stamped promo card that came, I believe, if you pre-ordered the 151 ETB from the Pokemon Center, that was the only way to get that Squirtle. So these are slightly easier to obtain than those Professor Program cards or the Poke Post cards, but even still, they're only obtainable for a very short period of time to a very geographically based, area. Like if you didn't live near a Best Buy or GameStop, or you couldn't get to one of those stores while they had them, there's no chance of you getting them except for secondhand for exorbitant prices. So it would be unfair to include those in a quote master set. So we're defining a master set as everything that you can get from retail stores that you can buy from a retail outlet, including those promos. So then what would a set be called if you literally had everything? We're calling it the perfect set. And the
I
perfect
think
set.
can't call
Yeah,
it
go
anything
ahead.
else.
I want to hear your thoughts on this, Ivan.
Well, I mean, like you can't. Well, first of all, like I think going back to what you were saying about how if you live in a, if it's just, I think it just should only be in where you live. Because yeah, you're not gonna go somewhere and try to get it when you're not even, you can't be a part of it. There's no way of getting it. So if you do live by, which the majority probably of our listeners do, like live near a GameStop and or a Best Buy, like you can go get them. So I would definitely include those in there. But like any other things, and specifically if you have to order it, maybe you can get it if you have to order it from like order it from online, not in the US, but it's can be attainable. But yeah, I think that's a good. I agree with our stipulation of what is a master set because it's like half the stuff. No, let's be realistic. Let's try and if we can get every card that we can get and that we can physically get in our location, and we have all the cards. Yeah, I would call that a master set for sure.
Yeah, definitely. And that way it does leave that leeway. Like if you're in Europe, if you're looking at a master set list, you should only have to obtain what's available in retail stores in your area.
Yeah,
So for your master set to include the Best Buy and the GameStop promo from North America, that wouldn't make any sense.
yeah.
But then if you really do want to include those, that's why we're calling it the perfect set. Because then if you really want to obtain everything that ever was available for that set, it really needs to be a higher echelon than that master set. So if you want to go after that, awesome. But yeah, we're giving that its own name, and that's that perfect set. So that's kind of where we stand on master sets. It makes it more accessible to you. So we hope that you uh, like the variations we've defined. We hope that you'll uh, utilize them for your own collections and let us know what you think in the comments. If we're totally out of line here, but that's where we're taking our stand on the variations of master sets.
Sure. And I'm on my way.
Actually, I need to talk to you about 151 because I might have some stuff for you that
Ooh,
I need to find out what cards you need, what you don't have. Because I didn't tell you this. So 151 booster boxes have been randomly showing up in stock at like Walmart and Best Buy. And
really?
yeah, and they're actually limiting them to like three per customer, so that more people can actually get them. And I ordered three 151 booster bundles from Best Buy that should be here today.
Oh, yes.
Yeah, I'm excited. Um, so yeah, I'll
That's
probably
a
have more
good.
cards for you, based on
Just don't
uh
give me any more energy. I don't need energy.
neither does anyone, right? Maybe leagues, but
Yeah.
that's
Just
probably about it.
stacks and stacks of energy.
So thank you for letting me get on my soapbox there, Ivan, and
Absolutely.
geeking out on master sets. Um, Now that covers what we had set up in our outline for this episode. We appreciate you listening to our show, watching us on YouTube. Eventually, we will have this as an audio podcast. We just haven't set that up yet. So hopefully, you have YouTube Premium to listen to the audio only if you have that option. But otherwise, you could feel free to use use general YouTube to just watch the entire show. We appreciate you being here. There are a couple ways to support us at Poké Collab. The number one way, besides liking and subscribing, is to go to pokecollab.com and becoming a member. And like we said in the last episode, the first 100 members will be considered alpha members. You'll get a special alpha member badge. We hope that you'll be one of those 100. We look forward to seeing you on the site. In the meantime, Ivan, how can our listeners support you?
You can go to YouTube channel here, as you are already on Poké Collab. You can look up CHARRD 216, and I'm gonna be posting up if you would like to buy some singles or whatnot. I'm gonna be having a new influx of inventory in my TCG account, so you can also look me up there as well as CHARRD, not CHARRD 216, but CHARRD. And then
And that's
yeah,
on TCG Player.
TCG player,
Okay.
correct. Yep.
Cool. We need to put links to our TCG players on Poké Collab.
Yeah, that'd be
Maybe
cool.
we'll get that done soon. So that way people have an easier time finding us. And then if you want to support me, Block and Pixel, you can also check out my YouTube channel, Block and Pixel, and also my stuff on TCG Player too. And so we'll link to that as well. But yeah, please check out pokecollab.com. We'd love to chat with you on there. Ivan and I are always online on Poké Collab and would love to talk more Pokemon with you. In the meantime, we appreciate you being here and we appreciate you checking out Poké Collab, where we collect, train, and battle together. And we'll see you in the next video.